Hello, welcome to the People Profit Podcast, the show where we flip the script on traditional business thinking and prove that when you put people first, profits follow. I'm Sandra Coker, your guide on this journey to more engaged teams, loyal customers, and a healthier bottom line. These episodes are brought to you by Human Power Solutions, helping organizations unlock the human potential that powers performance. Whether you're a leader, an HR pro, or a curious change maker, buckle up. We're diving into fresh stories, real-world strategies, and a few laughs along the way. Ready to turn your workplace into a profit-powered people machine? Let's get started. Welcome to the People Profit Podcast, where we chat about leadership that puts people first to drive real results. I'm Sandra Coker, author of the People Profit book and CEO of Human Power Solutions. And today we're having a fun friend-to-friend conversation on embracing your introvert superpowers to lead effectively, especially in loud industries like real estate. My guest is someone I know well, and I've come to admire her deeply. Ashley and I go way, way back. Ashley Harwood, she's the founder and CEO of Move Train Nourish, a nationally recognized real estate coach, speaker, and trainer who specializes in helping introverted agents crush it without burning out. She's also the author of the game-changing book, Move Over Extroverts, How to Build a Successful Real Estate Career as an Introvert. She's a Boston area realtor and a contributing writer for Housing Wire. Ashley is always blessed to talk to you, and welcome to our show. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, it's exciting. Good. So today, listeners, if Ashley's insights make you rethink your leadership style, if you're an introvert and this really hits home, please follow, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Your support keeps these real talks going. All right, my friend, let's jump in. You ready to go?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, nice. Awesome. You know, we've known each other for a while. I think you're in your early 20s when you and I first met. It was back in the day. And I've always loved watching how you've turned being an introvert into your secret weapon. Can you take us back? Tell us a little bit about your story and, you know, kind of what your journey's been like.
Sure. So the very short version is I got into real estate when I was 25. And it's a tough industry no matter what. And I was doing all the things that I was taught to do through my training and what people were telling me worked. And it's basically a lot of talking to people, right? Real estate, any sales industry is talking to people. So I was doing all those things. I was burning myself out and I didn't know why. And at the time, I didn't know what an introvert was, let alone that I fell into that category. Right. So that's why I kept burning myself out, because I wasn't managing my energy. I didn't even know what that was. And it was harder than it needed to be. So after finding my footing and finding what worked well for me, lots of trial and error, that's when I had this realization that, okay, well, maybe I can help people who are in a similar situation and really empower those of us who sales might be a little intimidating because we aren't naturally the most bubbly person in the room.
Right.
In some ways that could be a good thing, you know?
Yeah, that can absolutely be a superpower because, you know, I mean, you and I have networked a ton together. We've done a lot of different things. Our personalities couldn't be any different, but each area that you go to attracts the people that are going to be attracted to you. Right. So I love how you really have embraced this. And I think you and I are kindred spirits in the fact that we both love people. We're in a people first kind of environment. So, you know, as a coach and a trainer, you've helped countless agents thrive. And I think that a lot of times in real estate, because you do have to be out there shaking hands, kissing babies, and, you know, really driving those relationships. How has your own journey shaped your view that self-leadership for introverts isn't about changing who you are, but amplifying it for better results?
I mean, if someone were to try to change themselves in this way, it would not only not work because that's not sustainable. This is who you are at your core, right? And you can hone different habits and lean into different aspects of your personality, but you can't change your core. So it's a waste of effort to even try. Not only that, it comes across as really inauthentic. I'm sure anyone who's listening who's been to any networking event has encountered people who come off as a little bit inauthentic because they're trying too hard. And it gives off this ick factor. Yeah. It's not cool. We've both seen it. Yeah. And then everyone else avoids that person. You don't want to be that person. So better to just learn who you are, lean into that hard. Everyone else around you will be more attracted to that energy anyway. And so the conversations and the sales will be even easier, and it will be more pleasant for you as the person doing that.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about what the introvert energy is and what can you talk a little bit about just the types of energy that people have? Because I don't know. I mean, people often think of introverts as just, I don't like people, but it really is about the energy and your use of energy, right?
It is, yeah. And thank you for asking, because this is a very common misconception that introverts don't like people, or that we're not good with people, or that we're too shy, all of the above. So the actual true definitions are really, it's about how your energy recharges and how you use it. So for introverts, we recharge our batteries alone. Extroverts need to be around other people. That charges them up. So it's the opposite. So it's really, am I going out with people? Is that going to drain me, or is that going to amp me up? Yeah. That's one of the biggest factors. The other one is how we process information. So introverts sometimes are more quiet because we're more internal processing the information instead of having to talk it out. Yeah.
Love that. I love that, because my daughter's a little bit of an introvert. She's really good on the outside. She can work a room and everything else, but she recharges at home, and just that's where she's like, I know I've got to expend this energy. I'll do that authentically, and then I'm going to go home and just recharge. For me, if I spend too much time alone, I'm like sucked dry, and I'm like, I've got to get out to be with people. So it's I think it's really interesting that it really is about, what feeds your energy and what keeps going. So let's talk a little bit about your book, which I'm so excited about, and congratulations. It's a huge accomplishment. Move Over Extroverts. It's such a fresh take, debunking the myth that real estate or any high stakes field is just for those loud personalities. I want you to break down your core philosophy. How does leading as an introvert, leading teams, because you've led teams and you've been you're doing training at these real estate conventions and different companies. How does leading as an introvert, focusing on listening and strategy and recharging, create more authentic and profitable teams?
So it helps with retention. That's the biggest thing that I see. It helps with, when you're leading a team of people, you're naturally going to have a lot of different personality types. And what I see a lot of leaders do with the best intentions and just not knowing how to handle it is they kind of focus their attention on the more outgoing individuals, and those of us who are a little bit more in the background because we're thinking through things quietly in our heads. We're not always solicited for our input or feedback in a team environment. So that can be challenging. So my advice to leaders is make sure that you're providing an environment where everyone feels comfortable to share. And it might include soliciting feedback individually from some of the people, and maybe one-on-one, maybe not in a group setting.
Yeah, so maybe before the meeting, kind of like just checking in with people, like what are some of the ideas, having the agenda available for everyone so that, you can go and say, hey, have you looked at the agenda? Is there anything you want to add to that, and really kind of providing some empathy for them, do you think?
Yeah, providing empathy and making them feel comfortable to share and that their opinions are valid. Yeah. A lot of times there's this kind of vibe where if you're not the loudest, your opinion doesn't matter as much. And that's simply not true.
Sometimes the loudest is just obnoxious, right?
Sometimes, yeah. Not always, but sometimes.
Yeah, I know. And I'm usually the loudest, kind of obnoxious, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And I'm
I
sure
think
everyone listening is thinking of an example who they know.
I'm sure. I love that. So it's so aligned with investing in people's natural strengths, right? It really is like aligning yourself with and knowing your team. And, we always talk to our up and coming leaders, like, just because you have the title doesn't mean you're any better than anyone else. You've got to actually provide, real authentic leadership by really figuring out who people are and building those relationships. Can you share a story from your coaching where, and I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but I love stories. Like, share a story from your coaching where an introverted leader applied your book's tactics, maybe like in networking or setting boundaries, and then they were able to turn their team around. Is there a story that you might have?
Sure. Most real estate agents, some lead teams, but most are solo agents. So they're really leading themselves, they're leading their clients. One of my favorite stories that's in the book that I share pretty often is I was teaching a class and somebody in the class was struggling with his conversion from meeting initially with someone who wants to sell their home to having that person hire them. So we call that a listing appointment. And this person was really struggling. Through a series of questions, we come to find out that they were unknowingly sabotaging all of their appointments with their leads because on the drive to the appointment, they were making a phone call to a family member to just kind of check in, and I'm going to use this time in the car to make this call. And that family member was very draining their energy and putting them in a very wonky energy. So what I advised is make that call after the appointment. It's such a simple shift, but something like that. So if you're in more of a corporate environment and you have an important presentation or a meeting, it's really important to watch that energy. And as a leader, help your people manage their energy. Like, have these conversations. What do you need before this presentation to make sure that you're on your game?
Yeah, I love that. That's so spot on. Yeah, I know. I want to also I want to touch a little bit too on emotional intelligence. How do you weave that into decision making, especially in this fast-paced environment where you're fighting for listings? I mean, there's so many agents. I mean, I see so many agents out there, and there's, in this market right now, maybe fewer listings than there are agents, right? So how did emotional intelligence come into play where it fosters inclusion without overwhelming the quieter voices?
The quieter voices do need to be the first ones to the table, because if they're not, there's a good chance of getting kind of steamrolled. Okay. So my advice is always to be first and then win over the client with your expertise, your authenticity. People respond very, very well to authenticity. So this goes back to what we were initially talking about, where be who you are, and that will help you win more business and just be more liked as a human. But getting there first, and that's where some of us introverts do need to step outside our comfort zone a little bit and be a little bit more aggressive intentionally in the beginning to get the appointment first.
Running a business is hard. Developing your people shouldn't be. At Human Power Solutions, we act as your outsourced chief learning officer, designing custom learning and development experiences that actually move the needle. No fluff, no cookie cutter workshops, just results. Whether your people need better communication, stronger leadership, or less burnout, we provide strategic solutions that align with your goals and keep your team moving forward. Visit hpowersolutions.com and unlock your team's full potential without disrupting operations.
The word aggressive, does that kind of like put people on notice a little bit? Do they hear that? And
it does.
How does an introvert be like, what does that mean for an introvert? I know what it means for an extrovert. But what does it mean for an introvert?
For an introvert, it simply means asking and not being afraid to be direct.
Gotcha.
And that can be in a very kind, chill way, but it still needs to be direct. So an example would be, instead of, okay, let me know when you want to meet, it's, hey, I'm available on Tuesday afternoon. Would that work for you?
Yep. Okay.
So it's not
Gotcha.
harsh aggression, but it's more directness and really asking for what you want, which is also in alignment with what you know is probably going to be best for that client anyway. So you are looking to serve and do what's best for the client, knowing that you're the best fit for them potentially.
Yeah. So it's really having the assertion, just being able to, just being able to assert yourself that way. In your book, you cover, I love this, the extrovert bias, right? What's a practical tip for leaders to spot that bias and flip it? To really, the loudest person is usually like we're talking about, the one that their voice is heard, their opinion is known, they're driving, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not so good. So how do leaders kind of flip that and be like, okay, I got you, but there's other people here?
I think it's starting with awareness that everyone in the organization has something to contribute, but you're not naturally going to get all of those contributions the same way. So some of them are just going to come to you. Some of them you have to go ask for. So I think part of that could be in the onboarding phase where you're talking to people about how they work well and how they like to provide their information and their solutions. It could also be just really honing in on that awareness as the leader of, man, I really haven't heard from Kevin in a while. Let me check in on him and see what his thoughts are on this project.
Yeah. I think the other thing I wanted to ask you, oh my gosh, this question just went out of my head. No, for newer leaders coming up, that extrovert, that person that's a little bit more in your face, right? Can be, maybe there's somebody older, right? Older than they are, maybe another generation up. And now they're leading this team of people that maybe have more experience than they do. What's your advice there for maybe a leader that's a little bit more introverted? And I know it's not necessarily in the real estate space, but you've been around for a while. So I wanted to ask you that.
Yeah, you're describing me in my first retail job. I was leading a team. I was 23 and I was leading a team of 5 individuals who were all between 50 and 71. And it was, I was not equipped for that. It wasn't great. To answer your actual question, faking confidence a little bit, fake it till you make it, and just trust that you were put in this position for a reason, that the people above you believe in you and know that you have the skill set. But I feel like the best thing a leader can do is to make their people look good.
Yeah.
So having those conversations with each individual and making sure they feel comfortable and supported, and asking what can we do better? What would you like to see improved? Yeah. Could be something small that is easily done. It's not always huge things like raises, or could be something simple.
It's really getting people's opinions. Like, I was 21 and my first people that I led were all in their 40s. I was fresh out of college, and then my 2 direct were in their 60s and had been at the organization for a long time. They were like, who is this person that drinks Coca-Cola in the morning and eats those like sugary covered orange slices candies for breakfast? That's what I did for breakfast. But yeah, it definitely, but I won them over. But it does take a little bit. It takes really building those relationships. So let's go back to the book here and to the market. So the market's shifting like crazy right now, right? And how does your introvert framework from the book help leaders guide themselves through uncertainty? How do they balance needing to recharge themselves with getting the results they need with this fast pace going on right now?
It's really challenging, but once you nail it, then it makes everything else so much easier. So what I recommend is really paying attention to the calendar and scheduling alone time.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Put it in the calendar.
Yeah.
either every day, like an appointment. Yeah. And it could be as little as 10 minutes in the car by yourself. It could be as much as a weekend solo retreat where you take yourself somewhere else and just don't talk to anyone for 2 days. And everything in between.
I would go crazy, but I know that other people. I know. How does this improve? Like once your self leadership, you set the tone for all the people around you. So how you manage yourself and how you manage your energy. How does embracing this? Oh, I can set an appointment and sit in my car for 10 minutes or do a weekend away. How does it improve retention? How does it improve repeat clients and your bottom line results? Because obviously it's a very competitive business and you got to sell in order to make money. You're not getting a salary on real estate.
Nope.
Yeah. How does that embracing this and saying, oh, I can do that, improve all those things?
I find for myself, for the people I've worked with and helped train and coach, it lowers their baseline stress level. And that allows them to show up in a much more professional way and a more clear-headed way. It helps with problem solving, helps with a lot of things that just make you a better salesperson and a better real estate agent if that's what you are. But it's pretty universal in any business. When your baseline stress level goes down, everything else gets better.
Yeah, I think that's so interesting with anyone, whether you're an introvert, extrovert, or ambivert, whatever it is that you are, having like understanding where your energy is and having some downtime, I think for clarity. I know I've talked about this on my other podcast, and believe it or not, like I've, few months ago decided like after 7 p.m. during the week, I'm not going to watch any media. So no phone, no TV, nothing, and spend time journaling and reading a book or whatever, doing a puzzle or calling my mom, whatever that is. And that is just, and for an extrovert, that's hard, right? Because you're so used to having information come at you. But what I found is I was tired. Like I was getting information coming at me, and practicing this, and it is a practice, really has helped me to focus on what needs to get done and makes me a better leader and a better person. That's just a little story for you.
Yeah, I love it. It totally makes sense. And I also think I know that when we're fully recharged, that makes us more excited to go out into the world and people again. Like for us introverts, we hit that bottom and we're like, I'm done. I'm leaving the event. I'm not talking to anyone else. But then the next day, wake up, as long as you slept well, you're like, okay, let's go find some more people to help. It'll give you that boost of energy to go and the world.
I love it. That's great. So for our listeners, what's an easy win, something they can put into place from your book to try this week? Like what's a quiet power move that they could embrace?
Well, go through your calendar for the past couple weeks, maybe the past month, and just do a little exercise and write down next to every activity. You can do it on a separate piece of paper because I know most of us have online calendars now, but start tracking which activities in your calendar used energy and which gave you energy. And everyone can do this, not just the introverts. Track that ebb and flow and start to collect that data. And then you can use that going forward. If you know that this one particular thing is going to really require a lot of energy, that's okay. It's just plan for it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. So something I didn't warn you about as we do, because, I love to do stuff that don't warn people about. I have this quick little rapid fire round. It's like just 5 little questions that just what comes to the top of your mind. So it's pretty quick. Okay. So just a little,
that is such an extrovert activity, by the way.
Yeah, I know it is. I know. You love me.
I'm ready.
Okay. All right. So what is one extrovert myth to bust forever?
Ooh, that the loudest person in the room is always the smartest.
Awesome. Oh, that's a good one. What is the hardest introvert leadership hurdle?
I would say speaking up and acting like that louder voice when you need to, because sometimes that doesn't always come naturally.
Okay, good. A daily recharge ritual for busy people, busy leaders.
I would say a certain amount of time, even just 5 or 10 minutes of silence, breathing, eyes closed, just breathe.
Great. It's one of my favorite things is breath work. I love it so much. Can you believe this? After knowing me all these years, like I'm all into all that kind of stuff now. It's crazy.
I love it.
With age comes, oh, I got to slow down. So if someone was to read one chapter from your book, that's a must read. Which chapter is it?
Ooh, that's a good one. Definitely one of the first chapters around energy management and figuring maybe the quiz. There's a quiz in here and that you can take it and find out if you're an introvert or extrovert. This is what the cover looks like, by the way.
I was just going to say, can you show me your book? So that's awesome. I love it. Okay. Very cool. Love it. A dream collaboration to help empower more quiet leaders. So who would you like to collaborate with?
Ooh, Susan Cain.
Okay. Who is she?
She wrote the book Quiet, which is like the introvert OG. It's a lot of research and it's very scientific, but that is like the book for introverts.
Okay. Love it. Oh, that's awesome. In one sentence today, this is the last one. What's one introvert shift you hope leaders could make today?
I hope leaders can meet people where they're at and not try to change them.
That is pure gold. Thank you, my friend. Really good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this is wrapping up another episode of the People Profit Podcast. If Ashley's introvert insights fired you up, please again follow, share, and subscribe. Tag a quiet leader who might need to hear this. Ashley, tell folks how to grab Move Over Extroverts and connect with you.
Yeah, all my stuff's on my website, moveoverextroverts.com, and you can find me on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, all the things.
Awesome. That's great. And we'll make sure that we put everything below for you as well. So make sure you pick up a copy of Ashley's book today. And even if you're an extrovert, you should read this book too, because it really will help you to understand all the members in your team. So this is not just for introverts, my audience. Picking up today, Ashley, always a pleasure. So good to see you. And leaders, remember, quiet can be your loudest advantage. I'm Sandra Coker. Catch you next time. Thanks, everyone. That's a wrap on this episode of the People Profit Podcast. If you found a nugget of wisdom or even just a spark of inspiration, share the love, subscribe, leave us a review, and pass the episode along to a colleague who's ready to build a people-first culture. Big thanks to our sponsor, Human Power Solutions, for championing workplace where humans thrive and profits rise. Want to learn how they can energize your team? Head over to hpowersolutions.com to get started. I'm Sandra Coker, reminding you that when you invest in people, you invest in profit. See you next time.